I noticed something was wrong the moment the delivery driver slowed down in front of my house, frowned, and then kept going. That wasn't unusual by itself. Our street had identical layouts. But what happened next made my stomach drop. He stopped 3 houses down, got out, checked his phone, and looked back toward my place like it had personally offended him. I stepped outside and followed his gaze. My front porch looked naked. The house numbers were gone. Not crooked, not fallen, completely removed. No screws, no plastic backing, nothing. Just 2 pale outlines where the sun hadn't touched the siding in years. I thanked the driver, redirected him, and brought my package inside, but my mind was already racing. House numbers aren't decorative, they're required. Emergency services rely on them, mail relies on them, and someone had deliberately taken mine off. I walked the block. Every other house had their numbers. Even the abandoned rental on the corner still had its faded brass digits hanging on for dear life. Only mine was missing. That's when I saw her. Standing across the street, clipboard tucked under her arm like a badge of authority, was Brenda Whitlock, self-appointed enforcer of the Maple Grove Homeowners Association. Everyone called her Karen behind her back, though never to her face. She had a haircut sharp enough to signal danger and a smile that never reached her eyes. She watched me inspect my siding, then cleared her throat loudly. "Those numbers were non-compliant," she said, as if explaining the weather. I turned slowly. "Excuse me?" "The HOA guidelines specify black numbers in a sans serif font," she continued. "Yours were navy blue, serif. Very confusing. I removed them." "Removed them?" "The HOA guidelines specify black numbers in a sans serif font," she continued. "Yours were navy blue, serif. Very confusing. I removed them." "Removed them. You trespassed on my property," I said, keeping my voice even, "and took something off my house." She waved a hand. "It's temporary. You can replace them once they meet standards." I stared at her, trying to decide whether she was serious or just deeply committed to the bit. "You can't just take my address off my house," she sniffed. "Rules are rules." I went inside and pulled up the HOA bylaws. Color restrictions, yes. Font suggestions, debatable. Authorization to remove safety-required address markers, absolutely not. What Brenda didn't know, what she couldn't know apparently, was that in our state, altering or removing posted address numbers was more than an HOA violation. It was a felony. And I had security cameras. I didn't sleep much that night. Every time a car passed, I wondered if it was someone trying to find my house and giving up. That thought alone made me angry all over again. This wasn't about aesthetics or HOA power trips anymore. This was about safety. The next morning, I opened my laptop and pulled the security footage. There she was, Brenda, clear as day. At 2:17 p.m., she marched up my driveway like she owned it, glanced once at the street, and unscrewed my house numbers with practiced confidence. She even wiped the siding with a cloth afterward, as if erasing evidence. Then she tucked the numbers into her tote bag and walked off. No hesitation, no note, no warning. I saved the clip in 3 places. Before confronting her, I decided to double-check the law. 10 minutes later, my jaw clenched. According to state statute, willful removal or alteration of posted address identification required for emergency response was classified as a felony due to public safety risk. Fire departments had pushed hard for that law after multiple delayed responses. Brenda hadn't just broken HOA rules. She'd broken state law. I printed the statute, highlighted the relevant section, and added screenshots from the video. Then I walked over to the HOA office, which was really just a converted garage behind Brenda's house. The irony wasn't lost on me. She opened the door with that same tight smile. "Here to apologize for your tone yesterday?" "No," I said calmly. "I'm here for my property." She blinked. "Property?" "My house numbers. The ones you stole." Her expression hardened. "They're being held pending compliance." I slid the printed papers onto her desk. "You removed legally required address markers without authorization. That's a felony in this state." She laughed, actually laughed. "You homeowners love throwing around big words," she said. This is an HOA matter. I turned my phone toward her and pressed play. The color drained from her face as she watched herself on screen, unscrewing my numbers like a thief caught mid-act. The room went quiet except for the faint hum of the video. You trespassed, I continued. You removed safety equipment, and you interfered with emergency identification. That's not an HOA issue. That's criminal. She crossed her arms. You wouldn't dare. I tilted my head. I already filed an incident report online. This conversation is me giving you a chance to fix it. For the first time since I'd known her, Brenda looked unsure. Not angry, not smug. Scared. She swallowed. What do you want? I want my numbers reinstalled today, I said, and a written apology acknowledging you exceeded your authority. Her jaw tightened. And if I don't? I smiled politely. Then the police get the full video. And the fire marshal gets a copy too. She didn't answer right away. Instead, she reached into her tote bag. Brenda pulled my house numbers out of her tote bag like they were radioactive. She set them on the desk slowly, carefully, as if sudden movement might make the situation worse. The confident HOA enforcer persona was gone now, replaced by someone doing mental math and not liking the answer. These don't even match the neighborhood, she muttered weakly. They matched my house, I replied, which is the only thing that matters. She sighed and rubbed her temples. You don't understand how much pressure I'm under. If I let one violation slide, everyone thinks they can ignore the rules. I almost laughed. Almost. You're not under pressure, Brenda. You're on a power trip, and you crossed a line. She straightened up. I was protecting property values. No, I said. You were playing cop without a badge. The silence stretched. Finally, she pushed a notepad toward me. What exactly do you want written? I dictated every word. I, Brenda Whitlock, acknowledge that I removed house numbers from a private residence without authorization, exceeding HOA authority and violating state law. I apologize and confirm the numbers were reinstalled immediately. Her pen hesitated on the word violating. If that word stays out, I said calmly, the report stays in. She swallowed and wrote it. An hour later, she followed me back to my house. Neighbors peeked through curtains as Brenda climbed a step stool and reattached the numbers herself. No clipboard, no comments, just quiet humiliation under a bright afternoon sun. When she finished, I checked the alignment. Perfect. Take a picture, I said, and for your records. She nodded stiffly and stepped back. That should have been the end of it. But HOA drama never ends quietly. 2 days later, an emergency HOA meeting notice appeared on every door. Subject line, unauthorized threats against HOA leadership. My name wasn't mentioned, but everyone knew. I attended anyway. The clubhouse buzzed with whispers as I walked in. Brenda sat at the front table, flanked by 2 board members who suddenly looked very tired. She launched into a speech about hostile homeowners and misinterpretations of authority. When she finished, I stood up. I'd like to clarify something, I said, projecting my voice. Removing house numbers isn't an interpretation issue. It's illegal. Here's the statute. I passed copies down the rows. Murmurs turned into audible reactions. One board member frowned. Brenda, did you really do this? She opened her mouth, then closed it. I continued. I didn't threaten anyone. I documented a crime and offered a chance to correct it. There's a difference. The room shifted. People leaned back, arms crossed. The power dynamic changed right there. Another board member cleared his throat. Effective immediately, HOA officers are prohibited from altering homeowner property under any circumstances. Brenda stared at the table. And, he added, we'll be reviewing prior enforcement actions. I caught Brenda's eye as the meeting adjourned. She looked smaller now, not angry, defeated. All over a set of numbers she thought she had the right to remove. The review didn't take long. Within a week, emails started circulating, quiet at first, then increasingly urgent. Homeowners were being asked to confirm past interactions with HOA enforcement. Translation, did Brenda overstep with you too? The answers flooded in. A retired couple shared how their security camera had been temporarily removed for facing the street. A single mom admitted she'd paid 3 fines she never understood because arguing felt pointless. Someone else mentioned Brenda entering their backyard to photograph a shed without permission. Patterns are powerful things. At the next board meeting, Brenda wasn't at the front table. She sat in the back row, arms folded, eyes fixed on the exit. The board president cleared his throat and spoke carefully, like someone handling broken glass. After reviewing multiple reports, he said, the board has determined that our current enforcement procedures expose the HOA to legal liability. No one interrupted. As of today, Brenda Whitlock is relieved of all enforcement duties. The room stayed quiet for a beat, then someone clapped. Another joined in. It wasn't loud, but it was unanimous. Brenda stood and walked out without looking at anyone. 2 days later, I got a knock on my door. It was a fire marshal. He explained they were doing a routine audit after a citizen report. He checked my numbers, nodded approvingly, and then, almost casually, mentioned that the removal incident had been added to a larger file. Not just HOA stuff, he said, public safety interference. I didn't ask for details, I didn't need them. A month later, the HOA guidelines were revised. House number rules, simplified. No font restrictions, no color micromanagement. Just one line. Address numbers must be visible and may not be altered by anyone except the homeowner. Funny how clarity appears when consequences show up. I replaced my old numbers with slightly larger ones, still navy blue, still serif, not to provoke, just because I like them. They're visible from the street now. Very visible. Brenda moved shortly after that. No goodbye note, no final confrontation, just a for sale sign and an empty driveway. Every time a delivery driver pulls up without hesitation, I smile a little. Because authority without limits isn't leadership, it's liability. And house numbers? They matter more than people think. Enjoying this HOA story and how it unfolded. Subscribe to stick around for more real-life neighborhood conflicts, legal twists, and situations where authority goes a little too far. If this one caught your attention, give it a like. It really helps. And drop a comment below. Do you think HOAs have too much power, or was this just one person abusing it?